eBay's fees are just too high, or you'll get scammed. Or how about YouTubers have ruined eBay and now you can't make any money? I know you've probably heard it all too, but what if most of that is just not true? I'm Annette, everyone, and today I'm going to dispel some of the biggest myths about eBay.
Yay! Flippin' I agree me.
Especially if fear or bad information is holding you back from starting your store or growing your store, my goal today is to change your perspective. I've also got some great inspiration for you from other resellers to help you. Long before I made this channel, I helped dozens of people to start their eBay journey, which is why it can feel so frustrating to see people talk themselves out of it before they even start trying, all because of things they've read or heard about reselling. I also know someone who has yet to start their eBay business after hesitating for about 2 years now. Let's kick off the list with one of the more controversial claims that YouTubers have ruined eBay, so now you can't make any money. I think the argument goes that we promote unrealistic expectations and that we've given away all of the secret. I can only speak for myself, but I would have killed for some YouTube guidance when I was first starting out. And I actually overheard someone recently making this very claim. She said that YouTubers had ruined eBay, and she claimed that we are dishonest about what we find, we lie about the eBay fees, we make it look easy. And then she mentioned that she still wasn't making any real profit. And I felt bad for her. I wanted to invite her over and try and help her figure some things out. And I couldn't help wondering how she thought YouTube channels were responsible for her specific results. For one thing, I saw some of what she was buying. She wasn't necessarily making good choices. It's worth noting too that nearly every YouTuber I've ever watched makes their eBay stores public so you can verify their sales information. And last week I came across a discussion about the same complaints with YouTubers, and I really liked this guy's response. It was realistic and helpful. He said $15 is accurate when you're getting started, but that number can increase dramatically once you find your area of expertise and start networking. I actually tracked my hourly wage when I began because I'm obsessed with data, and I went from $12 an hour to $40 an hour in less than a year. If you've watched anything from my sourcing playlist, I'm not trying to make it look easy. I edit carefully to minimize the boring coverage of me going to 10 other yard sales where I hardly find anything, and I edit to only include the points where I find good things to flip because it's worth your time to watch. Now let me offer some perspective on the idea that all the secrets are out, so now success is not possible. First of all, I would not be making videos if I thought I was hurting other resellers. I suppose you could say there are trade secrets in this business. There's trade secrets in every business, but you could spend a lifetime chasing them all. But those secrets are constantly evolving. No matter how many YouTube channels someone watches, it's still a level playing field because collectibles and trends are what are constantly changing. Even longtime sellers have to keep up. When I first began, it was antiques that were the big money maker. Today, it's all about mid-century modern and retro finds. And is the eBay market really any different than a street lined with brick and mortar stores? How many of those stores will actually survive? Hopefully, you're one of those stores that will survive because you're working smarter. This might be a bit of a harsh truth, but revealing so-called reselling secrets doesn't change the fact that eBay is stuffed with listings that will never sell. I'm not talking about items that take a little time to sell. I'm talking about items that were not properly researched, or they are mispriced, or they're plagued with basic issues that guarantee they will sit there forever. You can take in all the information you need, but you still have to apply it. And I also know resellers that spend way too much time sourcing, and I get it. It's my favorite part too, but it doesn't move the needle. Bottom line, and it's just my 2 cents, but I think YouTubers have broken a lot of the barriers for anyone who is willing to put in the work. And I don't have all the answers, But if I had just a few minutes with that woman who is bashing YouTubers, I would ask her some questions. And newer resellers, you might even want to write down this short list. I would ask her things like, have you become a master at research to know you're buying the right stock? And how much do you go sourcing versus putting in the work of actual listing? Are you pulling prices out of a hat when you're listing, or researching thoroughly to price correctly? Do you keep studying what sells, and have you developed at least one category of expertise? Do you use promoted listings a lot and have best offer on everything, as opposed to finding out if you really need those extra expenditures to your bottom line? Do you charge the buyer actual shipping costs? Do you regularly ask for discounts to keep inventory costs down? Do you buy most of your shipping supplies, or have you tapped into resources to get them for free? All of these things drastically impact your net profit. And a key question I like to ask resellers who are frustrated is, do you love reselling? That answer has a huge impact on your results. And the best resellers I know, almost every one of them loves what they do. Of all the lies about eBay, you'll get rich overnight bugs me the most, because I can't think of anything worse than someone being excited about eBay and getting into it thinking they won't have to learn a lot and the money will start at the top. There are resellers that make even 7 figures, but the goal of my videos is to give a realistic picture and for you to watch my videos and say, hey, I can do that. Sometime I might feature my sister. You've seen her on some of my other videos, but she would make a great case study of inspiration for you, because only about a year ago, she began as what I consider an empty vessel, but she did everything right, and now she would be one to say, hey, I can do that. Reselling is a side hustle to the vast majority of us, and certainly our income would look a lot different if we were working 40 to 60 hours a week, or if we were pouring tens of thousands of dollars into our inventory. But my experience has been very similar to Timothy, who I'll refer to in just a few minutes here. My income started small, but my knowledge was small. eBay is not a get-rich-quick scheme. But if ever there was a job that rewards you according to the time and the effort you put into it, that would be eBay. Let's pause for a quick bolo here. But did you know that a lot of estate sales actually end up donating all of the medical supplies in the house because nobody buys them? Well, I do. Just make sure you research every item. Some of them are prohibited on eBay. Some of them don't sell for very much, but a lot of them do. This one I got on Sunday just sold, and I also got a lot of other things at that same sale, including some boxes of these dressings. Next up, how many of you are afraid you'll get scammed? This one is an easy one to debunk. First of all, if that were true, I would not still be selling on eBay. And I also don't know of any reseller that has quit for that reason. There are definitely a few things you should key into to do your part to prevent getting scammed, like adding tracking to all of your packages that go out. And I always recommend a business model that targets $30 to $75 listings, just to put a cap on the investment that you would potentially lose if there were an issue. Nothing is foolproof, but buying nostalgic items, items people need like medical supplies, I view that as a certain kind of fraud prevention, simply because people seem to be less likely to want to return those types of items. How about one more controversial claim, that eBay is greedy? Someone recently sent me a viral video of someone saying they were done with eBay. They were showing a financial breakdown of something they had sold for $500 on eBay, and the net profit was about $390. Like everyone, I have my own criticisms of eBay, but their fee structure is not one of them. Here is little little old me in the middle of America, and I instantly have a shopping audience of millions of people overnight. Our shops are open 24 hours a day. I will happily pay those fees. I would be curious what this person paid for the item they sold for $500, because as always, there's so many things you can do to offset the cost of your inventory. I love to hear from you other resellers. Comment below if you have a different take on this. And what about the lie that you'll have to spend a ton of money on inventory? That is absolutely false. And when it comes to buying inventory, this is one of my all-time favorite comments on my channel. I know you'll find it inspiring, and I'm going to paraphrase here. When our son was a senior in high school, he wasn't landing any scholarships, even though he was a great student with a long resume of activities and volunteer work. So I decided to create a scholarship for him. Our whole family jumped into reselling to fund his college scholarship. Our first rule was to sell what you already have or can get from family. Our second rule was only spend for inventory what you're willing to lose while you're still learning. We capped ourselves at no more than $3 per item at any given sale. We have learned so much, and today we are seeing at least 8 times our investment when we buy. What a creative way to earn money for college while doing something as a family. And her testimony effectively challenges the myth that you have to spend a lot of money on inventory. Here's a little more food for thought on not spending too much on inventory. You can watch some of my older videos and you can see just how little I often pay, but a good place to start is to make sure you're not just buying something because you see it for $1. Spend $1 or $2 if you know the item actually sells. Besides asking for discounts at yard sales, become a known regular at the estate sales of your favorite companies, ones that don't charge outrageous prices. And eventually, when you start bringing up boxes of items, they will very likely start giving you bulk pricing. And some people are reluctant to start eBay because they've heard it's really easy to get kicked off of eBay. But let me put your mind at ease right now. I have never known a reseller who got kicked off eBay ever. I have known resellers who have had their seller status penalized with higher fees because they've broken policy standards, but there are no mysterious policy standards. There are not many of them, and they're all pretty straightforward. Get your packages shipped out on time within about 3 days. Don't have your listings be out of stock because you can't find the item. I did go over that in my last video. And another one is to make sure you resolve an issue with any buyer. If it's about a return request or something like that, you just can't ignore it. And eBay actually gives you quite a few days to resolve that issue. Another myth is that eBay, the website, is like a corn maze and people don't know where to begin. Well, funny enough, that is true. But even though eBay is not super user-friendly, let me make a few recommendations, especially if you're just starting out. Do you remember when you first got on the internet, when you first started emailing people? It was kind of weird and it was really intimidating at first, but look at how you mastered it. Look at how quickly you mastered it, and now it's like riding a bike. If you're overwhelmed by the website, you are simply trying to do too much. And here's what you need to do. You need to become extremely proficient at listing and researching the items you want to list. Researching, listing. Those two things, once you get really proficient at those two things, then you can take on more advanced features like bulk editing. And I can't stress enough how helpful the eBay community page is. You can go there with the most random issue with a buyer. Other eBay sellers weigh in. Many of them have already had the same issue with a buyer, or someone will give you a valuable link to directly resolve an issue. It is so worth checking out. I hope you do. Here's another BOLO for you. Do you keep an eye out for stationery at yard sales, estate sales, everywhere really? One of my favorite brands to look out for is Cranes. It's expensive. It's a high-end brand that is sold at some of the better department stores, and the vintage stuff often sells better than the newer paper. This isn't a myth per se, but we'll put it under the fear category. I can't believe how many newer resellers are terrified of shipping breakables. So therefore, they're going to be reluctant to even buy valuable breakables. I've got an upcoming video in the near future that you will probably love because it will give you a lot of confidence in shipping. Another myth out there is that you need a whole bunch of space for your inventory. That is false. I have known people that flip that live in campers. Obviously, you're going to have to limit your inventory. People like that are going to have to be selling small things like jewelry, but it's 100% doable. A real life example for you is that I have over 1,000 items listed just on eBay, but I also have a personal stash of items like jewelry and ephemera that I may or may not sell that is in the thousands, and I'm working only with about 800 square feet. If I had even less space than that, then I would have to pivot to maybe all jewelry or all ephemera. But you will find that whatever space you have, you will be able to make it work. Let's dispel one more myth out there, and that is that you can only access good inventory if you live near a major metropolitan area. And I know there's people out there that think I have it made because I live near St. Louis and I have lots of estate sales and lots of yard sales. But let me give you some things to think about. And I also really appreciate someone who weighed in on this topic. Thank you to Timothy, who said, I was contacted by a coworker that found out through another coworker that I sell on eBay. He had been storing his mother-in-law's estate in storage for 4 years and was looking to sell it. She was an Avon dealer and had a huge amount of mostly new stock. I purchased the entire 10 by 20 storage unit for $800, and I've sold over $20,000 of it on eBay in 5 months, but I still have over half of it left. It also reminds me of how many opportunities I have experienced that have nothing to do with living near a big city. Are you letting everyone know you're a reseller like I do, or like Timothy did? Do you know if there is a resale shop in one of the retirement homes near you? Do you watch out for sales at churches and schools, or do you have access to storage units? I have had some of my best scores at estate sales during the middle of the week, believe it or not. They're often overlooked. Some of the easiest sourcing out there that is available to everybody is just letting your family and friends know that if they're thinking of donating anything to Goodwill, to let you know first. You'll be happy to pick it up. I can't believe some of the amazing flips I have gotten that way. And this was long before I was reselling, but I would sometimes help family or friends clean out their basements. It's painful to think about all the treasures that ended up in the landfill, but inevitably people just wanted to get rid of all that stuff. And there's still people like that everywhere. Those are windfalls just waiting to happen. As always, I hope this video helped you. Every time someone tells me they finally listed their first item or made their first big profit, those are my favorite comments. So if even one thing I said today gives you the nudge you needed, that is gold to me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.